Hey everybody, it's Gomodex, and welcome back to some more Magic the Gathering. Today we'll be playing a premiere draft of Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and we have an excellent rare to scoop up, Nadar, Selfless Paladin, 3 mana for a 3/3 Vigilance that ventures when it enters the battlefield or attacks, and gives your whole field +1/+1 as long as you've completed a dungeon. Or I guess just all of your other creatures +1/+1 as long as you've completed a dungeon. Either way, this is an excellent stat line, excellent abilities, and very easily going to be the first pick here. There are some other notable cards that are quite good. There's Cleric class, which is excellent in green-white life gain, which is a pretty powerful synergistic deck if you can get it operating at full efficiency. There's Dragon's Fire, probably the best red common, just nice, cheap, efficient removal in red. 2 mana for 3 damage at instant speed, already great. And potentially more damage if you happen to have a lot of dragons. Owlbear, probably the best green common. Often going to be the biggest creature on board, as well as replacing itself with a card draw when you play it. And some nice build around legendaries at Uncommon, Targnar, and Barrowin that are pretty fun. But easily going to be Nadar, the ridiculous, very valuable rare there. Not in terms of financial value, but in terms of in-game value. Quite a good card. So what do we have here? Some pretty good uncommons, or I guess one really good uncommon that I quite like. Power Word Kill. Can destroy anything that isn't an angel, demon, devil, or dragon for only 2 mana at instant speed. So this kills almost anything, but you are going to be really bummed out when your opponent plays like a red dragon or something that's killing you in the sky, and then you draw this. But in most situations, this card is quite good. Pretty interested in that, being, again, cheap, efficient removal. Very similar to the Dragon's Fire in that aspect. Kind of think I'm just going to slam that down. It's definitely cheaper and quicker than Charmed Sleep and Precipitous Drop. Other than that, there's like some great aggressive cards here, like Hobgoblin Captain being a 3/1 for 2 that sometimes gets first strike. A nice venture card, Dungeoneer, that we could take just to be full in on the venture theme, but I don't think the venture theme is all that good. Dungeoneer is a little bit slow. I think Power Word Kill is just the best card in the pack. Gonna be pretty easy to justify scooping that up. Now, not an incredible pack here. I do like Arborea Pegasus a decent bit, and it curves really well with Nadar. If we play Nadar on turn 3 and then Arborea Pegasus on turn 4, we can use this Pegasus to put Nadar in the sky, get around anything they have on the ground, even if they have like Death Touchers or something like the Yuan-Ti Fangblade. So pretty interested in the Pegasus. It's one of my favorite white commons for sure. Other than that, there's like Rally Maneuver, which can be an absolute blowout when played at the right time, if combat goes well for you. Divine Smite, I definitely hate this card if I'm not playing against black, but black is probably the best color in the format, so you're going to play against it a little more than any other color. So it's really good if you're playing against black, and really bad if you're not. Other than that, I guess there's like a Fang Blade here for the black side of the deck, which is solid, but I don't think it's as exciting as the Pegasus, so I'll just scoop that up. And, ooh, be a little bit of a difficult pick here between a second Pegasus or a first Steadfast Paladin. I think both of these are excellent cards. Steadfast Paladin just happens to be really good in this format because of how quick some of the games can go. It can be pretty important to have a lot of 2-drops and make sure you're getting things on the ground as quickly as possible. And Paladin's really good in an aggressive mirror match because it just comes out on turn 2, starts slamming in, damaging your opponent, while also mitigating any damage they're dealing to you, giving you that life right back with the lifelink. So I think Steadfast Paladin is an excellent 2-mana card, definitely better than it looks. It's such a simple little card there, but it has been very good in this format. And again, I think I'm going to take a white card over the black one here, because Fangblade's just solid. I think it's a little weaker than the white cards, plus, if at all possible, if I just stay as close to mono white as possible, I could also end up just swapping my second color. If black doesn't end up being super open, I could end up in white and any other color here. Here I'll happily take another Steadfast Paladin, although it makes taking the first one a little more awkward. But I guess you can really never have too many great 2-drops, but you could have too many great 4-drops, so still don't feel too bad about the Paladin over Pegasus choice there. We could take Celestial Unicorn, and Speculate on moving into white-green life gain. We do have 2 life linkers already to go with the unicorn. This is a great card in that deck. However, Cloister Gargoyle is already going to work well with what we have. We've got a little tiny bit of a venture theme with Nadar here. It's our only card that ventures, but it does venture a ton if it's not immediately removed. And that can definitely help us complete a dungeon to get the Cloister Gargoyle running around in the sky. And even if this doesn't get flying, it is a 0/4 blocker, which can block a lot of stuff while giving you some value on the enter the battlefield trigger. I think I just like the Cloister Gargoyle here, but I think the second best pick would be the Celestial Unicorn. There's certainly an argument for attempting that. So Fangblade and Hired Hexblade are both good black cards, although I think Fangblade is better for the white-black deck than Hexblade is. Hexblade is at its best in black-red, because those are the colors with the most treasure tokens. You'll be drawing cards off of this the most often in that deck. So I think it's between the Fangblade and the Half-Elf Monk here. The biggest reason to take the Half-Elf Monk would be to stay as close into just locked into white as possible. But I like the Fangblade here. Now that I have a Cloister Gargoyle, I do want to find more ways to venture into the dungeon and potentially complete it, because if we're never completing a dungeon, then Cloister Gargoyle is not very good, so finding just a few more ways to venture like the Yanti Fangblade does seem pretty important to me here. Do you see a pretty late Spoils of the Hunt? That is a relatively big sign for green here. That being said, it is a pretty awkward card to have as our only green card. I don't think I'm going to hop in on that train, to be honest, because we're still seeing like decent black stuff like Deadly Dispute. It's a decent little card draw spell in black. That being said, I think I'm just going to take the white card here, Moonblessed Cleric. We don't have any enchantments to go with this yet, but if we get any powerful enchantments like Minimus Containment or any classes, then this card is pretty excellent. Just grabbing your best enchantment whenever you cast it, throwing it on top of your library. If you don't have any enchantments in your deck, a 3-mana 3/2 is not exciting, but if we do get 1 or 2, it can be pretty good. And we're very happy to see that Borrowing of Clan Under has wheeled here, because that is exactly the kind of deck that we're looking towards here. A white-black deck that is going to venture in the dungeon a decent amount and get a lot of value, making our cards quite a bit better if we can complete a dungeon. So really nice to have Borrowin, Cloister Gargoyle, and Nadar really hitting that theme and hitting that theme hard. So Borrowin potentially reanimating our cheap creatures after we've completed a dungeon. So that's pretty good. Kind of just like a Horde Robber here. Nice little 2-mana 1/3 that potentially gives us a treasure or 2. Demogorgon's Clutches is a solid card at the right time. A little Mind Rot style effect to make your opponent discard 2. That being said, I'm not a huge fan of Mind Rot style effects because they're a little coin flippy to me, where they're excellent at the right time and horrible as like a top deck in the late game. So just not the kind of card I often run. I'll take the Rally Maneuver there because we do have a good amount of cheap creatures already, 3 2-drops and quite a few 3-drop creatures. So I think the Rally Maneuver could do a lot of work, and really nice to see Arborea Pegasus here, although there's an argument for Dungeon Map because we are trying to do a lot of venturing, although the Dungeon Map is pretty slow. I think I like the Arborea Pegasus there, just take a better aggressive card. And Great Axe is a ton of mana to move around and equip, so I'll take the Feign Death here, but I don't think I'll be playing that either. Ooh, we can try out another fancy little rare here, a Sphere of Annihilation, a slow wrath effect. Doesn't really combo particularly well with what we're doing here because we have tons of creatures we're getting out on the board for 1, 2, 3 mana here. So this card is X mana and a black to put this into play with X counters on it, and then during your next turn it exiles everything that costs X or less. So I mean, it's going to be awkward if we like curve out and then have that thing. Maybe we're supposed to just take Rave Enfeeblement here. I do think that card makes more sense for us. Using this as a combat trick, 1 mana for -4/-1 is often going to get a creature killed, can often get a decently important creature killed, and if we're playing against white, it's absolutely excellent. Whereas the Sphere of Annihilation, anytime we're winning, this card's terrible. This is really just like an oh shit button if we're super losing the game. Or I guess an oh poop button, my bad. I'm just going to take the Rave Enfeeblement there, because, yeah, the Sphere of Annihilation is only really good in one situation in our deck, in our kind of deck build here. So a few good cards to choose from here. We have a Warlock class, which is nice because it makes our opponent lose some life throughout the game while just replacing itself with a nice card draw on level 2. So just a draw spell that happens to make your opponent lose some life is good. But there's also Priest of Ancient Lore, which is an excellent 3-drop creature, 3 mana for a 2/1 that gains life and draws a card. This can often just trade off with some aggressive 2/2 or 3/2 your opponent's playing, so basically you get to 2-for-1 them, because your card replaced itself with a card draw while theirs didn't. I do think the Priest of Ancient Lore is generally quite good, so I'm going to take it over Warlock class, but unfortunately I think it's highly unlikely Warlock class wheels, so I don't think we'll see that again. Maybe we'll scoop up another Fang Blade on the wheel here. Alright, we have a Veteran Dungeoneer here for another card to venture into the dungeon. I'm a little bit leaning towards that, although we do have 3 4-mana cards already, so our curve's a bit high, but we can be kind of a slower white-black deck here. We have a lot of stuff coming out on the board, impacting at 11 creatures already out of our 15 cards. Yeah, I kind of like the Dungeoneer here. I like it better than the Death Priest of Merkle. The thing about the Death Priest of Merkle is it's a really, really slow card because it has very low power and toughness for its mana cost, so you really need to get value out of its ability, and it's really, really hard to do so if you're on the defensive, because it only triggers during your end step if you're trying to get skeletons out of it. And on the defensive, a 4-mana 2/2 is really bad for you because it's just not going to block well either. So I think I don't take it for that reason. And hey, my beloved Hand of Vecna here. I will scoop that right up. I have used this in quite a few drafts. I've always loved it. Obviously, it's not good in the late game, but any game where you slam this down turn 3 is a game where you're having a great time turning any of your 2/2s into easily 5/5s or 6/6s for quite a few turns. Hand of Vecna, a brutal aggressive card, and I will scoop it up here to go with our double Steadfast Paladin, one of the best 2-drops you can throw it onto. So yeah, we'll take a Hand of Vecna here. It is a card you do have to keep in mind is in your deck when you're playing, because there have been quite a few times where I've just forgotten about Hand of Vecna and just kept playing my lands late game. If you have Hand of Vecna in your deck, just make sure that, you know, your 6th and 7th land, if you don't need to play them, just hold them in your hand in case you top deck your Hand of Vecna. But other than that, a great card that's pretty easy to play. You just slam it out and equip it immediately and just start slamming your opponent. Here there's only one card that's playable in our colors, and it does potentially venture, so we'll take a Ranger's Hawk. Not incredibly likely to play it, but I guess it gives us another cheap creature to throw a Hand of Vecna onto, and another potential mana sink to venture farther into the dungeon. I don't like Devour Intellect at all, and we don't have very many treasure tokens, so we're not even going to be able to cast the good half of the card. Alright. Another Ranger's Hawk, a Devoted Paladin, Demogorgon's Clutches, a Baleful Beholder. Already spoke my piece on Demogorgon's Clutches. It is a good card because it's excellent at the right time, but I just don't love Mind Route effects. I feel like they're the kind of cards I always draw at the wrong time, and then I'm very sad. Could take Devoted Paladin here. We are putting a lot of creatures on the board, and that is going to make Devoted Paladin its absolute best. The more stuff you have on board, the better that Enter the Battlefield trigger is on it. Could also just take Beholder to have some main deck enchantment hate, in case we're playing against powerful classes or enchantment-based removal spells, but I kind of like Devoted Paladin here, because curving into Paladin always is just an excellent time. You know, turn 3 Nadar, turn 4 Pegasus, turn 5 Paladin. It's kind of like the dream draw there. Really aggressive curve there, if you get that going. Only one card in our colors, and we're not going to have enough treasures to try to splash in anything in this deck, so might as well just take the only on-color card, Manticore. Nice little filler card, potentially makes your cheaper creatures trade up into bigger stuff. But we've got a lot of great 4-mana cards, so it's pretty unlikely that ends up going in here. Evolving Wilds for mana fixing or a Dungeoneer. I think I'm going to scoop up Evolving Wilds here because we have a lot of good 4-drops already. I don't want to have a deck that has like 5 or 6 4-mana cards, as good as the Dungeoneer is. If I throw the Dungeoneer in, I'm going to cut the Manticore. And then our deck's a little bit better, but I think our deck could be a decent bit better by just having some mana fixing here too. Alright, we have a few options here. I think every white card here is a decent choice. We don't have any enchantments yet though, so yeah, we already have one of the Moonblast Cleric and no enchantments, so I think it's just between the ally or the equipment. I'm going to go with the ally here again. We do have a lot of venturing. We're trying to complete dungeons, so playing our allies are pretty great. Top end of our curve, just a 5-mana 3/3 that keeps us venturing every time it attacks. Here I'll take the Warlock class. We already have a rally maneuver, and I don't think we need a ton of combat tricks. So we'll take the nice little life drain card. Take the Fates Reversal here. I don't know how likely I am to play it, but it's an option. Pretty good value for it. 2 mana to draw a creature out of your grave and venture into the dungeon. It's a good deal, but just don't know how often I like that. We only have 3 2-mana creatures. If we want to stay aggressive, we're going to need some more, so I'll take the 2-mana 3/1 here. I think we have a lot of cards that work really well for curving out. Hand of Vecna means you want as many 2-mana creatures as possible. Nadar wants us to have as many cheap creatures on the board as possible to give them all +1/+1. The Pegasus works really well if you're curving out. We have a lot of stuff that incentivizes us to just curve out as aggressively as possible, so just grabbing more little 2-drops there is nice. All right, a few options here again. We have another 2-drop of the Dwarfold Champion. We have another Arborea Pegasus, which is great. We would cut a Manticore for that here. Another Cloister Gargoyle, which is pretty great for our specific strategy. Give us more that ventures into the dungeon. Make sure that we more consistently complete them. I kind of like Cloister Gargoyle the best, but I think it might be more likely to wheel than the Pegasus. It's really close between those two. I think I'm going to take the Cloister Gargoyle here. I think it just makes the most sense in the deck right now. There's also, you hear something on Watch. We are pretty low on removal, so we could use something like that just to kill an attacking creature. But we could also use Grim Bounty. This is a difficult pick. We have a Grim Bounty or a Steadfast Paladin. Both of these will be excellent. Steadfast Paladin is obviously excellent to curve out with and really, really good with Hand of Vecna. That being said, Grim Bounty is just an excellent removal spell, and I think we are a bit low on that right now. We have Power Word Kill, Rave Enfeeblement. That's it. Power Word Kill and Rave Enfeeblement. I think we're supposed to take Grim Bounty here, but wow, I would love a Steadfast Paladin. We've got 4 2-mana creatures here. We can just throw in one more filler one and be good. Yeah, I'll take the Grim Bounty. But I'm a little bit sad about passing up a Steadfast Paladin there. I do like that card a lot. Minimus Containment is excellent removal because it can deal with even non-creatures like Planeswalkers or Scary Enchantments. Can get rid of their Hand of Vecna even. That being said, Reaper's Talisman is a great aggressive card. Is that better? Because now we have 4 removal spells, right? Power Word, Rave Enfeeblement, Grim Bounty. No, we still only have 3 removal spells. I think Minimus Containment, there's still a good enough argument for it, but Reaper's Talisman and Minimus Containment are definitely the 2 best cards here in my opinion. The Reaper's Talisman just turns your smallest creatures into relevant threats because every time they attack, they drain life from your opponent and they have Death Touch, so anything your opponent blocks with is a trade. I think Reaper's Talisman is just one heck of a card. That maybe we're supposed to take it over Containment there, but I always go back to my limited basics in picks like that where I'm just take a bunch of removal. It's always good. Unless I have like 5 removal spells already or something like that. Kind of taking a filler, kind of whatever card here. Spiked Pit Trap's pretty filler removal. We have better removal than that. We just have Clattering Skeletons and Planar Ally here, both kind of just venture. Ton at 4 mana, I guess I'll just take another Planar Ally. Again, a ton at 4 mana, but now we have 3 5-drops as well. I don't really think we're going to play 4 5-drops. So do I play another Veteran Dungeoneer here? Start cutting our weaker 4-drops? Potentially. I don't think I'm going to play 3 Planar Allies here. Definitely can cut the Manticore now for sure. 4, 5, 6. We have like 6 3-mana creatures already. I think it's highly unlikely we play a Gloomstalker. Even though it's like, it's a good stat line if you've completed a dungeon. But more often than not, after we've completed our dungeons, we're just getting a ton of value out of the dungeons, like drawing extra cards and stuff. So I don't think we really need the extra damage output. All right, now we are going to take another one of those mediocre, nice 2-drops here. I guess the Dwarfold Champions are almost as good with a Hand of Vecna on them as the Steadfast Paladins are, so... Alright, that's a nice reimbursement for passing up on a Steadfast Paladin earlier. And now, kind of like Precipitous Drop, we are trying to complete dungeons here, and this is good removal once you've completed one. 3 mana for -5/-5. Even if you haven't, -2/-2 and venture in can be a good deal. Yeah, I like the Precipitous Drop in this deck. And I think I like 2 of them as well. It's between that and an Ambushed on the Road. We can counter a removal spell with this by bringing a creature back to our hand, but then we have to spend the time recasting it. I guess we have some good under the battlefield effects on these 3 cards here, which I guess are 6. So it could be fun with those, but just take the more consistent card no matter what our opponent's playing. Precipitous Drop's going to be solid. I think I'd rather curve out more with our 2 drops than get another Pegasus. Although I do really love Pegasus, which you can probably tell by now if you've watched me draft the set a lot. I do take those a lot when I'm drafting white. But let's just get more 2 drops. Get as many free wins off of turn 3 Hand of Vecna as possible. And I don't think I'm playing +2 Mace or You Hear Something on Watch here. So we have a lot of non-creature stuff right now, and a lot of it is excellent. Yeah, we have 11 non-creatures. We're going to have to cut a lot of those, so I don't really think it matters what we take here. Just take the You Hear Something on Watch, I guess. And again, I think the rest of the picks pretty much don't matter. Green looking wide open with that Spoils of the Vault there. Although, white not looking too bad with that planar ally at the end. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm putting any of these in. Let's cut 12 cards out of our white-black Dungeoneering deck. Definitely want to cut a lot of non-creatures and a lot of creatures. We have 24 creatures in here. 17 is enough for any decent mid-rangey aggressive deck. So we can cut 7 creatures out of this thing. Definitely like... I feel like... Oh my god, I hate my mouse. Sometimes it just starts double-clicking out of nowhere for absolutely no reason. But it's really annoying, but it's not... I think it's not worth buying another mouse over. But it has cost me some games every now and then. Alright. So I'm going to cut the Hawks for sure, because we have so many 2-drops anyway. We've got plenty of stuff to get out in the early game and to throw a Hand of Vecna onto. Definitely going to cut Feign Death. We have some really great competition in this deck in general, so I'm just going to cut all the mediocre cards out. Feign Death is mediocre. It's great in the right position, but otherwise there are some bad times to draw it. Same with Fate's Reversal. It's a pretty slow card. We have a lot of straight up removal spells, a lot of excellent non-creature stuff in general, so I think I'm going to take the combat trick out as well, the Rally Maneuver. This is still a lot of non-creatures. 8 non-creatures. Let's see, 23 cards, 8 non-creatures would be a 15-creature deck. If we're playing 17 lands. 17 plus 8, 25? 24? No, it's 25, so yeah, that'd be a 15-creature deck. Seems a little bit low. I might want to cut one more non-creature card here. Maybe be Precipitous Drop. I really like that ventures into the dungeon while being a removal spell. It just makes so much sense thematically and synergistically with this deck. Maybe we can cut down to a 15-creature deck here. Be a little less on board. Alright, so our weakest 2-drop, I think, with everything else going on in the deck, is our Horde Robber. So maybe we can cut that, but 6 2-drops is not... It's not too much. That's fine. For curving out aggressively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3-drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 4-drops, and 4 5-drops. I think we cut some of the 4s and 5s before anything else. Definitely cut Clattering Skeletons. 1 planar ally. Still cut 5 more cards here. We have some great enchantments in this deck. We have a Warlock class, a Minimus Containment, and double Precipitous Drops. So I do think Moonblessed Cleric actually slaps in this deck. But so do the rest of our 3-mana cards. I mean, Nadar, Priest of Ancient Lore, double Cloister Gargoyle, these are all excellent. Fangblade just fits with the deck venturing farther. Should I just cut everything that doesn't say Venture at this point? I think I can cut a Horde Robber here. Makes our Hand of Vecna a little weaker, being at just 5 2-mana cards instead of 6. But I like our other 2-drops all better. I've got to cut something here. I really don't want to cut any more cards out of this deck. Just throw a couple more lands in, play the 46 card special. I guess I like cutting Devoted Paladin before I like cutting Planar Ally. Although, I mean, curving out this card can really get them. I think flying is pretty good in this format, so I definitely like the double Gargoyle, double Pegasus, and double Planar Ally. I just like that we have a lot of flying in here that's quite nice. There's so much going for this deck in general. This looks really fun. I love Moonblast Cleric with 3 different options for enchantments. And the fact that, like, if we don't need a removal spell, we can just grab a Warlock class. If we do need a removal spell, if we only need a small removal spell, we can grab Precipitous Drop and venture into the dungeon while we cast it. And if we just need a straight-up removal spell, we can just grab Containment. Our deck is kind of weak to enchantment removal, so it's going to be a little sad if we see some Dawnbringer Clerics and Baleful Beholders from our opponents, the creatures that can destroy an enchantment when they come to play. I feel like I probably am supposed to just cut some of the higher mana cost creatures now. Do we have enough venturing that we don't need planar allies at all? I don't think so. I think they're still very nice here. I could see cutting one of the Dungeoneers, because we already have a Barwin that does the same thing for 4, as well as giving us a really good attack trigger if we complete a dungeon. And now I could kind of see cutting a non-creature. Now we just cut like Rave Enfeeblement, maybe. Cut the Combat Tricky sort of removal, and just use the drops and stuff. I think in your average deck, Rave Enfeeblement is probably better than Precipitous Drop, but in this deck, because we're venturing so often and wanting to adventure so often, I think Rave Enfeeblement is worse. So like cutting that there. And then now we have 17 creatures, 7 non-creatures. This is a 41 card deck. I guess we'd have to go down to 16 lands if this is the deck, and I do not think this is a 16 land deck. I think it's definitely a 17. Got an average to high mid-range curve here. Average 3.0. That's what, right around the exact average. I could see cutting one more creature, being a 16 creature deck here. I just don't know what creature it is. I love every creature left in this deck. They are all my beautiful synergistic children. I guess the least synergistic cards are honestly just like Arborea Pegasus, just like the good cards in general. Maybe we can cut a Pegasus here. We still have 5 flyers after that. But I mean, Pegasus with Yawnsey Fangblade is also excellent. Like a turn 3 Nadar or Fangblade into a turn 4 Pegasus is just a lovely time either way. So I don't think I want to cut another Pegasus here. Maybe just cut the second Dungeoneer. You know what? Or one Planar Ally. Maybe just cut the Warlock class. Don't dirtle around with that card draw. Just curve out like a normal human being. Try to get card draw out of all the venturing that we're doing. Maybe. You know what? I don't even know if that's right, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to cut the Warlock class here. And hopefully just scrying and drawing cards off of the Lost Mine of Fandel. There's enough value there. We don't really need the card draw of Warlock class replacing itself. And that extra life loss there. There are definitely some great cards in our sideboard. There are certainly alternate ways to build this deck. But this build is looking pretty solid to me. Nice mid-range venture deck. Actually pretty aggressive. I mean, 5 2-drops, 3 of which are 3/1s for 2. A lot of 3-drop creatures. A lot of what we're doing is curving out 2, 3, 4, and then hoping that our removal takes us to victory. So I guess, yeah, kind of an aggressive venturing deck. But we've got a stack of 4s, we got a couple 5s, so it's not like the most aggressive deck ever. And only 16 creatures. It's not like a million creatures. Yeah, this looks like a solid build to me. I think we're going to roll with it here for today. Alright, well, that's what I'm talking about. The turn 2 Paladin, turn 3 Hand of Vecna. Just play our Evolving Wilds turn 1 to make sure that we can play untapped lands on turn 2 and turn 3. Just grab a Plains here. We do have some double white cards. Our planar allies. Don't remember if we have any double black cards, but I don't believe that we do. Ooh, is it better to go Steadfast Paladin or Dwarfhold Champion here? They do have a Reaper's Talisman coming up to drain us some life. So they could have some aggressive crackbacks here. They gain life on them as well, so I think I want the Life Linker slapping them over the 1 more power creature, 2 more toughness. I guess it's just 1 more power toughness. This would be a 3/3 with whatever the hand's giving it. Alright, here we go. This is what you do if you have a turn 2 creature and a turn 3 Hand of Vecna. This is how to play the card. You just slam it down, pay all the life you need to, and get it rolling. Wow, we're just gaining 6 life there. That is insane. Back up to 22 here. The Reaper's Talisman only gives Death Touch on attacks. Well, Yonti Fangblade can Death Touch away our Steadfast Paladin, but we get to gain 7 life here. We'll be attacking with a 7/7 life linker, and then we can... Ooh, Power Word kills the draw. Just clear that out of the way to keep Paladin out and attacking. Could be worth it. I could also see just holding it here. I don't think we do, though, because if we kill that here, we get 6 damage to their face right now. The argument for not just killing that is we could just trade there and then we just play another creature and suit it up and we're still attacking in just as large. I'm going to play the land and the creature here. That is going to make it so the Hand of Vecna only gives +3/+3 next turn, but that's still a 5/5 lifelinker coming at them. They're at 8 life and we're at 27. I think I like getting the second creature out just in case they like Grim Bounty us here to kill the Paladin. We can just equip the hand onto the Dwarfhold Champion and keep it coming. And that is what happens here. Not a Grim Bounty, but a precipitous drop. So... since we played the way we did, we still get to keep the pressure on, just slapping the hand onto this Dwarfhold Champion instead. Slamming in for 3/3, it'll be 6 damage. So they're very likely to chump block here so that they don't go down to 2 life. And I guess... we're at 27 life, let's just pay the 3 life here so that I can play one of these cards without playing a land. So I can keep my lands to make my Hand of Vecna still a large buff, still a +3/+3 every turn. But we'll play a Borrow in here, because it actually has some power already. We could just go into the Tomb of Annihilation to make them lose some life here. Could see that happening. Yeah, we're at 24. You know, it's kind of nice. But I also do like scrying here. And even a 1/1 when we have a Hand of Vecna is really good, so just scry 1, then get a 1/1 next turn when we play our Cloister Gargoyle. Yeah, you know, if we go into Tomb of Annihilation, like, our opponent's going to lose 1 life, but then they're just going to, like, discard a card they didn't need and sacrifice a land they didn't need. Like, the next 2 levels of Tomb of Annihilation are not exciting at all for us. So we're just going in to drain them 1 life 1 time, mostly. Yeah, let's just go to the Lost Mine, I think. Throw that on bottom. I guess I could pay a bunch of life and throw it on Borrow in here, but it's already big enough to block their 1 creature. And if they want, they can slap Death Touch onto it, so... Oh yeah, and the Hand of Vecna only gives plus power on our turn, so it's only on the aggressive. Priest of Ancient Lore is pretty excellent here. Gives them another chump blocker and another card draw and another life. Definitely the kind of card you want on the defensive. to try to dig you out of the situation. Alright, throw the Reaper Talisman onto the Priest. Ooh, Arborea Pegasus is kind of the nuts here. Is it lethal? No. It's not lethal, but it's pretty nuts. I think we just go for all that damage. Hit for 6 in the sky here. And then we can move our Hand of Vecna onto the Pegasus next turn, and it will be lethal next turn. Because we have a flying threat out now. They have 6 mana now, 2 cards in hand. We'll need to see that removal for the Pegasus right here, right now. Or we've got it in the bag. I guess if they have instant speed removal, they don't need to do it right now. I don't believe we block that. Yeah, it doesn't have lifelink, so it just hits us for 2. The life drain is just on the attack trigger. Baleful Beholder's the play. They are tapped out. That is dead on board to the Hand of Vecna on the Arborea Pegasus. We get to throw it on there. It gets +3/+3, attack in the sky, and we're good. Slam in for Exactsies. No reason to attack on ground because that's just a trade and a sack. All right. So 1-0 to start things off for the aggressive venturing deck, although that was mainly just a victory for Hand of Vecna, which I have seen many times before, because I do draft that card pretty much every time I see it, and a lot of other players don't. I do get it past like pick 4 a lot. I understand why not everybody likes it. It is a pretty bad draw later in the game. But it just gives you those free wins like that, drawn in the early game. Easy keep here. We have both colors and multiple plays in the early game. Turn 3, Hand of Vecna. Oh boy. Hand of Vecna might be the picture in this video. If I haven't used that as a background yet, I think that'll be what I use today. Well, I kind of want to play Nadar now. What a draw. What a hand here. Nadar and Hand of Vecna. What do we even do? I mean, we could play Hand of Vecna, equip it, and we're attacking with a 7/7 here. They just trade with Basilisk. I kind of like playing Nadar and then playing Precipitous Drop. We just get the Death Toucher out. Once the Death Toucher's out of here, we slam a Hand of Vecna onto one of the 2. Yeah. Seems fine with me. Alright, they just trade with the 3/1. Could also just get it out of the way there. If they don't have removal for Nadar, we could just slap Hand of Vecna onto Nadar. We don't need to use Precipitous Drop anymore unless they play another Basilisk. We're going to go into the Lost Mine of Fandelver here because we're trying to complete a dungeon for a lot of our cards. And it doesn't take too long to complete it. Another Basilisk? Well, Precipitous Drop it is. I can venture twice by doing this. Once when I play it and another when I attack with Nadar. Let's get a 1/1 because it's another creature to throw the hand onto. I guess I am kind of stuck on mana here. I'm only at 3 mana here, and I've got a lot of 3/4 mana cards in hand, so a treasure token could come in handy too, but I really like hitting the storeroom for a permanent +1/+1 counter on something, so I think I'm going to go into the Goblin Lair here. That way I get to attack, go into the storeroom, throw another counter onto Nadar. That actually seems pretty excellent. Now it's harder to kill if they have a green-based removal spell. One where their creature deals damage to my creature, now their creature has to have at least 4 power. So it's a little bit more likely to survive the green half of the removal now, just by being bigger. Not any more likely to survive a Minimus Containment out of white, though. The other white removal is like a set off traps, which does 5 damage. It would still die to that as well. I guess if we slap a Hand of Vecna onto it, it's big enough now to survive set off traps as well. It's huge. I kind of do like slapping a Hand of Vecna onto that thing, getting a real big attack in here. We're going to complete a dungeon too, so we just get to attack with both. We draw a card, we're attacking with a 2/2 that would trade, and we're attacking with a gigantic that'll just slap them for a ton of damage. Oh yeah. Slam on a Hand of Vecna here. Draw an extra card. when we complete the dungeon, which definitely helps the Hand of Vecna stay relevant by us having a ton of cards in hand. Boom. We've completed a dungeon, so we're attacking him with a 2-2 and an 8-8 here. Good lord. They take it all, go down to 6. We have enough cards. I might want to play a land here. Yeah, I mean, they're at 6 life. Hand of Vecna's already giving a sizable buff here. We can play a land for turn. So we can play a land next turn and potentially play a 5-mana card or a 3-mana card and a 2-mana card if we draw into one. I mean, potentially we can play a 3-mana card like Cloister Gargoyle seems really good here, a 3/4 flyer. And then we can just use 2 mana to move Hand of Vecna over instead of paying any life. Could be nice. Definitely not blocking here. If I block, I just trade because they give it +2/+2. So this might be a spoils. Deal 4 damage to Nadar here. Although if it is, they're tapped out, and then I just draw a card, throw Hand of Vecna onto my Goblin and win. Because Goblin gets +5/+5 because I'll have a 5th card in hand. So if they tap out for spoils, we do win. Alright. That was the plan here. We'll just slap the hand onto the Goblin, slam in for 6. So, I mean, that 1/1 Goblin we got out of the Lost Mines of Phandelver did help us greatly in the end, making sure we still had lethal there. So yeah, that was kind of what I was saying earlier with a Hand of Vecna out. Even just a 1/1 is going to be relevant later because it's something we can throw the hand onto. Another ridiculous game there, mainly just winning off the back of the Hand of Vecna, but our Paladin did a ton of work as well. The 3-drop white creature there that ventured through the dungeon got us to complete the dungeon, draw an extra card off of it, get a counter on something, get us a Goblin token. Just gave us a ton of value in general, and here looks like the most basic hand that we've drawn so far. None of the busted rares here. Pretty fair looking hand, but some good stuff all around, and I will definitely keep it. Spare Dagger from our opponent on turn 1. Gives the equipped creature +1/+0, and they can sacrifice it to deal 1 damage to something. And a Thieves' Tools turn 2, so a lot of equipment coming out from our opponent. The Thieves' Tools makes one of their smaller creatures unblockable. One of their creatures with power 3 or less. Gives them that treasure token when they play it. I think I'm just going to play it nice and defensively here. We're just going to kill their Death Toucher with our Precipitous drop, because they can throw a Thieves' Tools onto it or a Spare Dagger onto it, either of which is really bad for us. Spare Dagger they could sacrifice to have their Death Toucher kill whatever creature we play here, and Thieves' Tools they can just get in no matter what blockers we have. So we just want to get rid of that, keep them off of all the value immediately. As always, heading to the Lost Mine of Phandelver here. We just want to complete a dungeon relatively quickly while getting some value out of it. And while you can complete the Tomb of Annihilation faster, it doesn't give you any value while you're doing so. So I'm more of a fan of Lost Mine of Phandelver. So here, if I play... I don't really want to play a Pegasus without something to get value off of, but it does give us a 2/3 flyer and makes the most of our mana. I kind of like just playing a 3-drop creature here, like Cloister Gargoyle, getting a little farther in the dungeon. And then next turn we can play a 3-mana and a 2-mana. We get to play Priest and Doorfold Champion. Seems pretty good. I guess if I play Priest first, if they don't have a blocker, we do get in for some damage here, instead of just having a 0/4 out. Sure, we'll play Priest this turn, next turn Cloister Gargoyle and Champion, if we don't draw anything else to play. Maybe it's best to just get a flyer out immediately there, just because it's also making the most of our mana, just playing our 4-mana card, but I always get a little sad on the inside when I lose any value there. So Spare Dagger, I mean, they've got tons of daggers. All the daggers are removal spells to kill whatever they want here. I guess they get to kill Cloister Gargoyle. They only get to kill one thing when they attack with it, but they have a Thieves' Tools as well to slap onto a Fang Blade. So this is going to be really annoying in general. I mean, I think we just keep playing everything. We got to get rid of these Spare Daggers somehow over time, and these are relatively small creatures to play out and trade off with. We might as well attack, right? Because they're just going to slap a Thieves' Tools on anyway. It's not like we're going to be able to block. I guess if I don't attack, they don't have to equip Thieves' Tools. They can just equip another dagger, attack it, and kill my 2 blockers. But they could also do that if I just play a Cloister Gargoyle. Cloister Gargoyle can't block a Death Toucher, so they don't even need to kill the Cloister Gargoyle. Yeah, no, we definitely attack here. There's no way this priest helps us block. Because they can so easily just kill it or give unblockability instead. Get a little 1-1 here. Got plenty of mana. Don't need any treasures. Alright, so they attack Spare Dagger the Champion. They could slap another Spare Dagger on if they want to kill the Gargoyle too. They could slap a Thieves' Tools on if they just don't even want to worry about blocks. Very, very weirded out by that play from our opponent. I feel like you might as well just Spare Dagger it if you wanted it dead. Because Grim Bounty can kill things even if you lose your Death Toucher, whereas the Spare Daggers can only kill them if you have the Death Toucher. Maybe they don't know the interaction. I feel like if they have 2 Spare Daggers in their deck, though, they know the interaction. Wow, I'm actually really happy with how that turn went out all around. We got to dig through 3 of their removal spells on some really small cards. We got to get rid of the Spare Daggers on creatures that only had 1 toughness anyway, so I guess, I mean, it's very possible they just don't even know that the Death Touch works even with the Spare Daggers. They could just be using them because there are a lot of popular, you know, like 3/1s and stuff in this format. But yeah, that's all the Spare Daggers gone now, so they just throw Thieves' Tools on to be able to attack in. So now just a Steadfast Paladin can trade with the Fangblade if they don't slap equipment onto it. So we'll just stay aggressive here. They're going to get a lot of value by repeatedly venturing with the Fangblade, but well, we are going to outrace them on board. Another Grim Bounty from our opponent. Probably equip Thieves' Tools here. I don't think they want to trade it off because it's their only creature. And yep, they do equip the Thieves' Tools so they can keep venturing. Makes sense. They get a 1/1 or a treasure token here. I'd expect the 1/1, yeah. Because they've already got tons of treasure and the 1/1 holds back the priest. But of course, with an Arborea Pegasus, we can give that priest flying so we still get damage out of it. For at least 1 more turn here, put him down to 10. Definitely winning the race, but that Yuan-Ti is getting pretty far into the Lost Mine of Fandel, though they'll draw a card off of it next turn. Ooh, a Vorpal Sword. If they hit us with a creature that's equipped with a Vorpal Sword, they will win the game on the spot. That being said, they can throw Thieves' Tools even onto the Goblin there. And that's terrifying, but they only have 6 mana. They need 8 mana to win with Vorpal Sword. I think we probably just take it here. I don't really feel like trading for the Goblin token. With our Flyer, we hit for 4 a turn. We can't block the Fangblade. It has a Thieves' Tools on it. Yeah, let's just take that. They drain a life out of us. That is really going to help them in the race. The Priest does not attack well anymore, but it does block the Goblin token, which is good. Take 4. They do complete the temple and draw a card here. So they're getting some good value. We really just need anything off the top to kind of counteract their stuff here, if we can get anything going here. They have lethal on board. We're going to have to hold back for blocks now, unfortunately. Definitely not what we want to see here. We can attack for 2, hit them down to 7. And then we can just block Vampire Spawn and go to 1 life. We just do not have good blocks for Vampire Spawn. All we can do is chump block that. We can't block the Thieves' Tooled Fangblade anyway. So we either deal 2 damage to them or chump block a Vampire Spawn to go down to 3 life instead of 1 life. 3 life and 1 life are essentially the same if we only have 1 creature left anyway. We just die in 2 turns, even if we go down to 3. Because we chump block there, we've got 1 Pegasus left over to deal with all that. Or we chump block there, trade there, and then we just die to the stuff on board next turn. Yeah, I don't think a chump block is the way to go here. We might as well get the 2 damage out, because if we're at 1 life at the end of the turn with no creatures out, we're dead. And if we're at 3 life... if we're at 3 life with no creatures out, we're also just dead. So we need something excellent off the top. We might as well get a couple points of damage in there to make it, I guess, slightly more likely we could draw into something good here. Should have stopped playing these lands at this point in case I top-decked Hand of Vecna. I did mention that when we drafted it. That's, I always forget. I always mention it when I draft it, and then I always forget. So it's possible Hand of Vecna's like our only out here, and because I've played lands... Oh yeah, it doesn't matter, because they can just go into the Tomb of Annihilation. Alright, so I guess our only choice was to chump block with Arborea Pegasus, have 0 cards in hand against 3 creatures on board. I guess the trade with the Fangblade isn't a chump block, it would be a trade, so our only choice there was to just take the damage from that Fangblade. They get to go into the Tomb of Annihilation twice. They make us discard a card and lose a life. So we would be... We'd have 2 more life than we have right now, so we'd be at 2 life with no creatures on board facing the 4/3 and the 2/2 unblockable. So we'd be at 2 life against the 2/2 unblockable, so even Hand of Vecna wouldn't get us out of that one. Yeah, there was just no way out in 2 turns. I just forgot they could even go into the Tomb. So we could have survived 1 more turn to draw any card in our deck, but there isn't a single card in our deck that wins the next turn. And because they have Thieves' Tools on board, we're dead no matter what card we draw there. So it didn't matter in the end, but did play a little suboptimally at the very end there. For sure. Could have held lands in hand in case we drew a Hand of Vecna, and then could have also survived that combat step. But we kind of just ran out of things to do in the late game there, unfortunately. We didn't have any repeatable value from venturing to the dungeon like they did. And so we just had a bunch of lands to play. Alright, this looks like a pretty great hand. A couple 3/1s to slam down on the ground. Use our early removal to hopefully keep that board clear. And just slam in for 3 a turn. Definitely like cracking Evolving Wilds turn 1 so that I have an untapped land on turn 2 and 3. And we'll grab the plains for our double white cards. Like our late game planar ally. Turn 3 Hand of Vecna, don't mind if I do. I've won every game I've done that previously. Although I don't think I'll turn 3 Hand of Vecna here. I'll probably Precipitous drop first. Well, I guess they're just going to straight up kill the Dwarf Champion here. In that case, what do I want to do? Play another champion? Play Hand of Vecna? Play the drop? Kind of want to play the champion first, because I don't really care if I get hit for 1 more damage from the Basilisk, so I'd rather play the creature first and then the removal next turn. Although the drop lets me scry here, try to hit another land so we get a little closer to planar ally. And a flyer with a Hand of Vecna seems pretty good. It's kind of arguable either way between drop and champion. I guess if we Precipitous drop, scry 1, try to hit a land, that lends it to playing 2 champions next turn and then planar ally turn 5, which isn't good with Hand of Vecna, but it's generally pretty good, and I forgot that my mouse is double-clicking all the time here, so I was trying to look at Hand of Vecna for a moment, and I cast it instead, so that was definitely not the play. There's no reason to play Hand of Vecna unless you have a creature on board, because it can equip for free. That is going to be a really sad time for us. Definitely quite irritating to get got by playing digitally. Alright, I am going to scry off the Lost Mine of Phandelver here. We're going to kill that Troubadour the second we see it. We get our 5th land for our planar ally, which is excellent. We're only taking 1 damage a turn, so it's not the biggest deal that we just skip the turn, basically, dropping down Hand of Vecna. It's fine overall. We're still in a good position. But it is definitely one of the more irritating things that can happen. We'll get a new mouse eventually, but it's such a hard sell for me. Let's get our planar ally out here. Hopefully it resolves and stays on the board. But it's only a 3 toughness creature. There's a lot they could have to kill it. A spoils, a dragonfire, anything like that. They don't even really need the death touch from the Underdark Basilisk to do a fancy spoils here, because any red or white removal would kill it. It's just so low toughness. But if that's the removal spell they have, it's the removal spell they've got. Alright, Cloister Gargoyle is nice. We are 1 step into the dungeon. We'd be 2 steps in after we play it. I think we just play it slow with the Hand of Vecna. We're taking like 1 damage a turn. So we have plenty of time to play these cards slowly to get the maximum Hand of Vecna value out of it all. Just have a Burning Hands as well for 2 damage. Alright, that'll kill the champion there. I suppose if I'd paid life, I could play another creature this turn, but the plan was to just play 1 creature at a time so that I keep them in hand to make the other ones bigger. Ooh, Arborea Pegasus is excellent. We can give the Dwarfhold champion flying now, after it gets buffed from the hand. Or I guess it would be before, because we have to play that in the main phase. Alright, 2 cards in their hand, an Underdark Basilisk on board. Another Arborea Pegasus? Well, just curve out with a bunch of Pegasus to keep the champion in the sky. Excuse me. Seems like a pretty solid way to win the game. They're dead in 3 attacks here. Unexpected Windfall to draw a couple cards. See if they can't find an instant speed out here. Looks like they did not. They're taking at least 7 damage from that. Plundering Barbarian would probably be their best out to this position, but even if they have Plundering Barbarian, we're going to start just attacking with smaller flyers here. The Plundering Barbarian's a 3-mana 2/2 that can destroy an artifact when it comes into play. Pretty popular common in the format because there's a lot of good artifacts, and if your opponent doesn't have an artifact out, it can just make a treasure token when it comes in. Another Wandering Troubadour, really nice deck from our opponent here. Some good stuff. Burning Hands, Weaponry, and Spoils for removal. Double Troubadour for great value. Definitely enjoy how our opponent has drafted here. We don't play the land here. We want to keep that Dwarfhold champion as big as possible. We just play the Pegasus. I almost just auto-played into some misplays there. They have a lot of treasure tokens here, so they could definitely have instant speed removal. Let's see what they got here. Spoils of the Hunt. Use the Troubadour to kill the champion or the Basilisk to kill it. Really, either way. Either way works. Luckily, they have to do it sorcery speed. Alright, I was going to say, they have to do it sorcery speed, so I can just move the hand over. Is it worth the life payment? Oh yeah, because we can just block Troubadour and take 2. We're very safe in terms of life total here, so let's just do the life payment to get in for max damage here, rather than playing in the plains. And they're just dead in the sky next turn, right? 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we draw another card. That's 8 damage in the sky next turn. If we don't play a land here, because +4/+4 means 6 + 2 is 8. So this needs to be a removal spell or a reach creature here. Or I suppose a way to find lethal damage. They have 6 on board. That puts us to 5 life. I don't think that there's anything that could kill us here. Because we're going to be at 5 life. Even if they have the double a creature's power toughness card, we survive. So I don't think they can lethal us here. So we just hold off so that we can lethal them in our next turn. And we try to do so. Another instant speed removal spell here. Fireball. Alright. It is brutal, because that will hit before Hand of Vecna goes off, and we're at 3 life here. We need to be able to block that. We need to be able to block the Owlbear here. We can probably just Minimus Containment the Owlbear. So we block Troubadour, we take 2. So no attacks. If Hand of Vecna gives +4/+4, we can find lethal off of it next turn. But we need to block Troubadour here, so we're going to lose our Pegasus regardless. So I believe we need to shut off the Owlbear so they don't have a big trampler hitting us, and then we can just play like Cloister Gargoyle, throw the hand onto that. We can block everything except the Underdark Basilisk that way. We only take 1 damage, we go to 2 life. We can even make a 1/1 token off of the Lost Mine. Actually, by making a 1/1 token here, we could chump block the Troubadour and keep our Pegasus, but Pegasus won't be lethal because we have to play the land and the Gargoyle and the Containment there, so Hand of Vecna is only going to give +2/+2 next turn. Alright, well we don't have lethal next turn, but this is a really safe way to block a lot of stuff here. I suppose we would have had lethal if we attacked with Pegasus anyway, because then I can block there, take 1. There's not a lot that I'm dead to if I play that way. I probably should have done that. Might be a misplay on my end. Almost definitely a misplay. I should have just attacked with Pegasus, then we could find 4 damage this turn easy with the hand. So what do we do here? Do we get the Troubadour off the board? It does turn every land they draw into a little bit of value, but if we don't get it off the board, we do get to keep our flyer out, which hits them for 4 damage next turn. They're dead in 2 turns to that. They take a lot of damage even from a non-flyer here, because they have to just chump block with that goblin. So like even a non-flyer does a lot of work, even if it doesn't do immediate damage. I kind of want to just kill that rather than chump here. Keep them off of going farther in. Draining me for life. Draining me for life would be terrifying here. So we have a planar ally and a land. We have 6 mana. Planar ally won't be lethal next turn, right? No, we can go into the Dark Pool. If we go into the Dark Pool and drain them for a life, when we attack with planar ally, that's 4 damage right there, plus 2 from throwing a Hand of Vecna onto it. So planar ally go for a lethal attack next turn if they can't kill the planar ally, because we just throw a Hand of Vecna onto it next turn and then venture in to the Dark Pool. Or the Storeroom, actually. Either way would be lethal. But Dark Pool makes me feel a little comfortable by gaining a life. Yeah, play planar ally. Chump block Basilisk, just to be extra safe so that they don't go into the Dark Pool and kill me on the spot with some kind of venture card. Definitely did not play this game ideally. We could have won a turn ago. And we're just giving them more opportunities to find an out here. Hopefully they have not found one yet. We do get a lifelinker to block Basilisk, which is absolutely huge. Alright, if they haven't found an out, planar ally kills them right here. I'm going to do the Dark Pool. That way if they have instant speed removal, I still get that life drain out of it, because the only thing that could save them there is instant speed removal to kill the ally. So the Dark Pool's better if they have that. And the Storeroom is just like, well, it doesn't matter, they're dead anyway, either way, so we don't need a permanent +1/+1. I guess Storeroom would be better against like instant speed life gain, but I don't really think that's a thing. Alright, so that was a sketchy one. Definitely some misplays near the end there, but we still got there, thankfully to the power of the hand. Even in the late game, giving us that little buff we needed to finish them off with the flyers. Alright, excellent hand here. Just start off with a 2-drop, multiple nice removal spells to play. Precipitous Drop being an especially exciting one to play in the early game, just by giving us that little extra bit of value while we're killing their card. Our opponent starts off with Trickster's Talisman, really fun card here, gives that moderate buff of +1/+1, and allows them to double up the creature. If they sacrifice it, they can make a clone of it. So I would rather play our 3/1 to trade with the Basilisk than the Lifelinker. I think Lifelink is just a great ability overall. It's worth a little bit more to me than the extra 1 power here. So I'll play the 3/1 first so that the 3/1 is more likely to trade with something. I would hate for the 3/1 to trade into a 1/1 flying token that they got from rolling a die, though, so we are going to Precipitous Drop the 2/2, but we'll do that post-combat, because if I just trade with the 2/2, I'm pretty happy with that. So, send in an attack. Any trade I make, I'm fine with. That gets the Death Toucher out of the way for our bigger creatures, or, of course, gets the Really good effect off the board. And looks like it does get the Death Toucher out of the way. We'll cast our Precipitous Drop now to get the Trickster out of the way too. And head on in, as always, to the Lost Mine of Fandelver. Ooh, and a Veteran Dungeoneer as another 4-drop. Pretty great draw here. Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Alright, down to 18 cards in library, so we're still very safe in terms of getting milled, but it is very sad not to draw the Veteran Dungeoneer to cast this turn. I think a better line here would have been Paladin Evolving Wilds, but I was still a little hazy after the Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I was like, okay, I'm going to get double Tasha's Hideous Laughter again? Ah, why does this always happen to me? I guess it's only happened to me in one other video, but God, is that a pain whenever it happens, because 2 Tasha's Hideous Laughters is often enough to just exile a whole limited deck, and Aberrant Mind Sorcerer is the one way to do it. Consistently. Yep, that's quite annoying. I guess they can throw a Trickster's Talisman onto the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer so that when they attack with it, they get a clone of it and cast a 3rd Hideous Laughter to guarantee the mill. So I believe we're going to kill that with our instant speed removal here. So let's play a Paladin. Playing Evolving Wilds. I guess I'll use Evolving Wilds to get rid of a land right now so that there's one less land in the deck for them to mill. Right? So it's more likely they mill higher value cards and mill less cards, right? Is that how it works? I don't know how the math works on that. I guess I'm milling a land by using the Evolving Wilds either way, but I do need a 5th land for Planar Ally. So I don't know if I play that before or after they Hideous Laughter me. Either way, let's just attack with the Pegasus. If they throw a Trickster's Talisman onto a Mind Sorcerer, we'll respond with an instant speed power word kill. Kill that thing so they don't clone it. They don't get to cast a 3rd Hideous Laughter. I'm scared. We've drawn a 5-drop. We've drawn a 4-drop. We might just get completely milled here. I'm actually going to crack this before the Hideous Laughter. Because I think if our land to spell ratio is slightly more weighted towards spells, that means it's slightly more likely that they mill us less cards. That's my thinking on it. But I'm not sure. It's one of those math situations. All right, we've got 7 cards left. We have 7 turns to kill them. I think we can do it. I mean, Planar Ally helps a ton. Scrolling to our best cards here, we have a Minimus Containment coming up. Have they exiled my Hand of Vecna? Well, they haven't exiled my Hand of Vecna? They haven't exiled my 3/3 either. My legendary 3/3 rare. We have 2 really good draws coming up here. All right, I'm not going to play this land because we still have a Hand of Vecna in our deck. Air Cult Elemental. No. Bounces a card of ours. That's the really important part. Doesn't really matter that it's a 2/5. Ooh, bounce one of our cards now. Our Hand of Vecna is more active. But we need to spend 6 mana if I want to kill the Elemental and equip a Hand of Vecna. We've got 5 cards left here. Do I just equip Hand of Vecna first? I think it's more damage if I kill Air Cult Elemental and play Hand of Vecna, even though Hand of Vecna is only going to give +1/+1, because that'll be 5 damage. If I just play Hand of Vecna, throw it on Paladin, they just like chump block there, take 2. I think I want to just kill that Elemental. We don't need the life link. Yeah, let's just kill that thing. I mean, definitely, if they can copy it with Trickster's Talisman in the future, that'll be absolutely devastating. And we've got more than enough life to keep re-equipping this wherever we need it, just by paying life here. Life is not how we're going to lose. We're going to lose to mill. So we're just always going to use the free equip on Hand of Vecna. They're at 9 life now. There's a blocker, Yansi Malasan. They can make it a 3/2 with Trickster's Talisman. They venture into the dungeon whenever they hit us with it. They can also make a clone when they attack with it. Nadar's beautiful. We can venture a little farther here, get a 1/1. Her treasure doesn't affect anything immediately because we're not going to complete a dungeon immediately. I think we just attack for max damage here. We get more damage throwing the hand onto the flyer because they can't block the flyer here. We have 4 cards left. We can let Paladin trade for Malison because that stops it from hitting us or making a clone of it. I think that's a fine trade. We have more creatures to dump out. And especially flyers seem really good here. We're probably even going to play Planar Ally before we play Nadar, because it's just more likely that Planar Ally actually hits them. Spoils of the Hunt. Alright, sure. We can just re-equip hand. Oh, it just stays on Paladin that way. Okay. Trade with Malison here. Seems fine. Alright, they've got no creatures on board. We have 4 more turns to kill them. We can slam down a Planar Ally and equip... Poop out a 1/1 goblin when we attack here, and we hit for 5 in the sky. This kills them in 2 turns. No, what? What? Oh, good God, the 3rd Aberrant Mind Sorcerer and the D20. The roll of a 20 to get triple Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Oh, no. I guess that's only the 2nd Mind Sorcerer. They were just trying to clone the first one to get the 3rd cast, but they just draw a 2nd one to get the 3rd cast here. That's about as irritating as we could possibly lose here. Well, I mean, we hit for 3, for 5, put them to 4 life, and then die in our draw step. God, that sucks. They had the 1 turn to draw an out, or we kill them here. They drew the out. Sad day for us. Man, I wish there was like a somewhere on here that made them discard a card. But there is not. Yeah, they're just incredibly dead next turn if their draw's anything except like a 2nd Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Well, take a breather here between rounds as we head into round 6, 3, and 2. If we had no interaction there, that was a game where our opponent could have cast 4 copies of Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Good lord. What a deck. Alright, we're on the play with a turn 2, 3-1. We definitely need to hit a land, but if we do, we get to scry off the Cloister Gargoyle, which helps us hit the 4th land. Helps us dig for it a little bit. Definitely a little risky. We could definitely stumble on lands here, but we can't stumble on mana. We've got both colors. I mean, we can't stumble on colors of mana. So yeah, I'm going to keep it here. And we do hit the 3rd land at least, which is very nice. Opponent starts with a Evolving Wilds for Plains. White-green. With a Cursed Idol here to get a treasure and venture. Excuse me. Alright, turn 3 Cloister Gargoyle. How badly do I want that scry? Do I just want to get aggressive and get another 3-power creature out here? Kinda do. Because Cloister Gargoyle just sets a 0/4 on this board, which doesn't help us get any more aggressive. If we hit the 4th land, it does let us get that Arborea Pegasus attack out. But just the 3/1 should be pretty great here. Unfortunately, they did get to venture into the dungeon again, which makes one of our 3/1s just trade for a 1/1 token, which is always a bad time. But I think we still just attack both, because 1 hits for 3, we just get the goblin out of the way. And then whichever one is still around, we can just start throwing Arborea Pegasus onto it, so at least it trades with the 2/2 flyer. I think we Evolving Wilds, crack the wilds before we scry. That way the scry actually matters. I don't believe we don't have any double black cards. We do have one. We have Grim Bouncy. I forgot about Grim Bouncy all day today. Yeah, I guess we just grab a Swamp then in case we hit Bouncy. There's definitely an argument for just grabbing a third plane, so it's possible to cast like Planar Ally and another white spell really late in the game. But I think we just grab Bounty. Send in the attack here. Trade with a Goblin and get 3 in. Trade with both I'm pretty happy with. I do like the trade up into the Flyer because we've got a lot of Flyers coming up, which will be excellent if they don't have any. I'll keep that 5th land to cast our Planar Ally next turn. And a Wandering Troubadour for our opponent. Gonna venture far into the dungeon with that. We don't have any removal coming up. And they make it a 5/3 as well. So they venture basically every turn in which they played a land. They'll venture farther, so if they play a land here, they get to draw a card at the end of turn. Troubadour, an excellent card. We've seen a lot of these in today's draft. And the Devoted Paladin to give +1/+1 vigilance, sure. Not super scared of getting like outraced. I'm a lot more scared of getting outvalued. I think we just play Nadar here, right? Just to venture farther. If we play Nadar, then we get to go into Goblin Lair and Storeroom, and then next turn we get to play a Pegasus to give Nadar flying to venture even farther then. Yeah, I like maximizing our venturing so we can get this Cloister Gargoyle active. Although we're not going to have great blockers. I guess we just spit out a chump blocker here. Probably make Nadar a 4/4. Maybe we make the ally a 4/4 to put more pressure on our opponent. Hitting for 4 a turn, they'll be at 13. We got double Pegasus. The question is, if I put a counter on Nadar, is it likely I trade with the 4/4 here? Or am I just making chumps? I'm pretty sure I'm just making chumps next turn. If I hit for 4 this turn, I can have an absolutely massive attack next turn. I can hit for 4 with Planar Ally. We can definitely complete the dungeon, so we can attack with Cloister Gargoyle as well. We hit for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Because Arboreal Pegasus is giving Nadar +1/+1. Nadar is giving these +1/+1. We hit for 13 damage next turn, exactly, if we leave all 3 of these on the board. So I think we just chump as much damage as we can, hope they tap out for non-flying cards. Alright, they have 1 green mana up. I think we just win. Because Nadar is going to give the rest of our field +1/+1. This is going to be a 3/4 flyer. Yeah, attacking with Nadar and Planar Ally, we complete the dungeon here. If I messed up the math on this, I'll take that L, but I'm pretty sure this is just lethal in the sky. Oh yeah, just absolutely wonderful stuff. I guess I can, let's see, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 exact Cs. All right, we'll take the Mad Mage, I guess, because it doesn't matter. Wow, that was an incredibly spicy turn. The Planar Ally plus Nadar Grand Slam Wombo combo team taking us through those dungeons at a speed run pace. Getting that Cloister Gargoyle into the sky for lethal there. So 4 and 2 now, no matter what, we are going to break even. Not entirely. I mean, we get 1,400 gems out of it, but we get 1,400 gems as well as a few packs, and those few packs are going to have 3 rares in. Every rare you get is like 20 gems if you have the full playset, so... plus any rares that we drafted. So basically, if we had the full set completed, we'd be breaking even with 1,500 gems out of this. So we're definitely at a great reasonable win rate here no matter what happens. So, feels pretty good. Alright, opponent is going first. We get that Evolving Wilds turn front. Some great cards coming up. Nadar, Cloister Gargoyle, Borrowin, all three of these actually venturing when they come into play. We can speed run some dungeons here as well. And Arborea Pegasus turn 4 after the Nadar again. Should be excellent. It's got a lot more white cards than black cards, so I'm just going to grab double white again initially. But we do have Grim Bounty in the deck, as I said before. We did draw into our second black, so it all worked out. But I do like cracking at turn 1 there in case we draw a 2-drop creature to run out. So it's entirely possible that Nadar is just going to get killed by some form of removal here, but I don't think that that's a big enough reason to play Cloister Gargoyle first, because if it doesn't, it's going to be absolutely excellent here. We're just going to be beelining it through these dungeons. And in green-red, I don't think they'll have a flash creature, so I think we just slam out a Borrowin to venture farther into the dungeon here. That way, by the time we attack, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on Nadar and get an extra damage out of it, as well as make it out of range from the 3 damage removal. Our good old Dragonite, the best Pokemon. Not really, I just think I saw somebody make that joke about it being a Dragonite, and I thought it was pretty funny. My favorite Pokemon is actually Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff is the greatest Pokemon. We can just Minimus Containment the 4/1 and then they just have a 2/2 out. We complete the dungeon, which means Borrowin can return a creature, but there's no creatures in grave anyway because nothing has died. But we get more damage in that way. I think we pretty much definitely just kill the Ultra Guard Ranger to attack in with all this stuff super well. Oh yeah. Yeah, let's kill the Ultra Guard Ranger. We get an excellent attack here by doing so. Complete the dungeon, draw a card. Everybody gets +1/+1, even the goblin trades. So yeah, hit for 8, they're down to 8 life. Play another land. Nadar's giving the rest of the field +1/+1 now. Swarming Goblins gives them a lot of blockers and a creature that's, oh yeah, natural 20 for the 3 blockers. That is plenty chump blockers. And the Swarming Goblins is big enough to trade with Nadar here. So I think this is when we send that Nadar into the skies now that we've gotten rid of their reach creature. We still hit for 5 this turn that way, and we can venture into the dungeons again from the attack. And then we'll have a flyer out, the Arborea Pegasus here. It's arguable we could go like Cloister Gargoyle, Moonblast Cleric here, that way we just have a 3/4 flyer out in the future, but I do really like getting that Arborea Pegasus attack in here. It's lethal in 2 turns if they can't kill Nadar, because we hit them for 5 right now, and then we hit them for 3 in the sky next turn. But if they kill Nadar, the Pegasus is only a 2/3 flyer next turn. So I think I actually want to go into the Tomb of Annihilation here, because that way, even if they kill Nadar, the Pegasus is still a lethal amount of flying damage. It still hits for 2, and they'll be at 2 life that way. I don't think I want to attack with Borrowin, because we just trade for the Swarming Goblins, and then they still have a million chump blockers afterwards. So it doesn't really matter. They've got 2 mana here. What is... They're looking at all their stuff here. They have some kind of interaction, it seems. Dragon's Fire. Do they have a 4-power flyer in hand? They do! A 4-power dragon, that is. The red dragon, so that'll kill Nadar. And we don't give anything +1/+1 anymore. Well, attack with Borrow and get Nadar back. I think now we'll make the trade for 3 goblins or Swarming Goblins either way. Because now we get to get Nadar back by doing it. And now I don't really want to make them lose life. Rather just start scrying. Steadfast Paladin's a good draw here, because we can play a 4-drop in a Paladin. It's not like excellent, but it's definitely good. And I forgot, yeah, Nadar's still giving everything +1/+1, so the only trade they could make is the 4/3 into the 4/4 there. Alright, there's the red dragon. 4/4 flyer out here, deals some damage to me. So now, next level into the dungeon, we get a 1/1 or a treasure token. Actually, probably shouldn't have grabbed the steadfast ballad in there. If I venture farther with either Cloister Gargoyle or the Dungeoneer, then I do get to hit the store room when I attack with Nadar, making it a 4/4, which is big enough to trade into the red dragon. So I think I go for that. Would I rather play the Cloister Gargoyle or the Veteran Dungeoneer? I'd rather play the Cloister Gargoyle to have another flyer because we're going to kill their only flyer on this attack, because I highly doubt that they don't just trade with Nadar here. So trade with the flyer that leaves the board clear for the rest of our flyers to get in there. Now we can even Moonblast Cleric and throw a removal spell on top, one of our enchantments. I guess we've already used Minimus Containment, so it would be a Precipitous drop, but Precipitous drops -5/-5, and we'll draw a card when we play it, so I think that's more than worth it as our next draw. Pretty great draw here. Earth Cult Elemental. Well, -5/-5 does not kill a 6/6, but it does make it a 1/1. Alright, and they're just going to scoop him up there. We do have 5 damage in this guy. We don't have immediate lethal, but I think they just see the writing on the wall. A bunch of value coming up with a Precipitous drop to make that a 1/1, so we get to attack with these, just attack with the whole board and start dumping out more creatures. I think we probably had the game unlocked there, so opponent does scoop him up. So much value from the Nadar and Barrow Dream team there. Barrow bringing back Nadar after his untimely death. So 1,600 gems and 4 packs now. We are in the money. Super nice draft all around. 5-2 heading into round 8. I'm very bad at math. All right, I'm going to take a drink here. Here we are in round 8 with one of our most awkward hands, but we do have a turn 3 unconditional removal spell, hitting any non-land permanent, even if it's like a planeswalker or something. Drawing the Swamp makes this hand still kind of slow and awkward, because we don't really do anything until turn 4 unless we're interacting with our opponent, and we're on the play here. I feel like on the play this is worth a mulligan. Do our best to get early game pressure by actually having like 2 drops. And this is an excellent mulligan. Wow, this hand is dramatically better than the last one, even if it is 1 card down. It's got Nadar, which basically makes up for that all by itself. Dragonite, OP. We also have a 2-drop creature on turn 2, which is fantastic to get the ball rolling. And our opponent is on a blue-white deck here. We do have a turn 3 Moonblast Cleric if we want it. But I believe I'm just going to play Nadar and hope for the best. Fingers crossed for no removal, as you do. Our opponent has something at instant speed here. Alright, well, now they can't use that on Nadar. Unless they have another one. Always hopping into that Lost Mine of Phandelver. We actually don't need a 4th land yet. Is it worth scrying it to the bottom? I'm unsure. We're definitely going to need it later. I really don't know. I feel like we're probably supposed to keep it. But if we throw it to the bottom, it makes it more likely that we can draw like into a hand of Vecna or something ridiculous. I guess we get a treasure token next turn, if nothing else. If we end up needing to play a 4-drop, we can just grab a treasure token when we cast Cloister Gargoyle. Even if they kill Nadar right now, we can guarantee another mana. If they don't kill Nadar right now, if they don't kill Nadar until after it attacks, then we're going to be pretty far into the dungeons, which is great. Ooh, Delver's Torch. Tap out for the Delver's Torch. We hit the 4th land anyway, so makes that all simple. Yeah, just send in Nadar. Probably cast Cloister Gargoyle first so that we can get a +1/+1 counter on Nadar for that extra damage when it attacks. We only need to venture one more time to get the Cloister Gargoyle into the sky. For Hand of Vecna Regents, should I hold on to this land still? I mean, it's all 3-drops in hand, but I guess 3-drop, 2-drop. If we draw another land, we could go Cleric and Paladin next turn. I probably am supposed to play this, because we're also drawing another card off of the Lost Mine if they don't kill Nadar. So we'll still have some more gas, some more fuel to make Hand of Vecna do a little bit of something. Power Word Kill. Oh no, they had Power Word Kill to kill the Dragon Knight. But of course, it's a dragon, so can't get killed by Power Word Kill. Very sad time for our opponent. If I Cloister Gargoyle here, I'm just going to complete the dungeon anyway. The first level of any dungeon only makes them like lose a life or something, so I don't think we need to play it pre-combat. We just slam on in. Draw our card. They're down to 10. We have 5 mana, so we can play Steadfast Paladin and Cloister Gargoyle here, which I think is the line. And I believe that we just want to run right back into the Lost Mine of Phandelver. Get that Scry, and Precipitous Drop is likely to be a great draw. If their plan to get out of this is to make any blocks, Precipitous Drop will help us a ton. If they have a one-sided Wrath, well, if they have any Wrath effect, it would be a one-sided Wrath right now. That would be devastating, but there aren't really Wraths in this format. The only one I can think of is like Sphere of Annihilation, which doesn't trigger until their next upkeep, in which case they would just be dead by then. They're facing like 11 damage on board. Also, I love that just in the middle of a sentence, somehow I made a sound. That was great. I'm getting a little tired, a little wonky. Things get spicy when my brain stops working. I don't know why I found the pop sound so amusing. It was pretty minor. Anyways, we kind of just kill them here because we have the removal spell to attack all. We hit them for 9 even without the removal, so definitely a really bad position for our opponent. It is always going to be a terrible time facing against an Adar without the removal to kill it, and really, really sad for our opponent as well because they did have an early game removal spell. It just wasn't a card that could target Nadar because it was a Dragonite. So I feel pretty bad for that opponent, but I will absolutely take the victory onto 6-2 here, a fantastic record whatever happens, and this final round will be the big finale, the final boss, win or lose. It's the last game of Magic I'll be playing today. We'll see if this deck can't run all the way to victory off the back of these excellent rares. Okay, and our opponent is on the play, but our hand is pretty fantastic. We get to Evolving Wilds for our second Swamp, play a turn 2 Champion, turn 3 Gargoyle, turn 4 Grim Bounty if we draw land. But Cloister Gargoyle will scry 1, so that'll help us get there. And we do immediately draw the 4th land. Now things are looking like an excellent curve all around here. Now we even have a turn 5 play. Even if we don't draw another land, we can use the treasure token we get from Grim Bounty to cast our planar ally. And that will be beautiful either way. See what happens on the attack here. We're playing against a red-green deck. Looks like there's nothing up to turn 3 here. Get our Cloister Gargoyle out to venture, or do I just want another champion out? You know, with a Grim Bounty in hand, I think I just want to maximize damage here. Put as much pressure as I can out, because it's going to be a while before we complete the dungeon to actually attack with the Gargoyle, and we don't need the Scry now. We have enough mana guaranteed to cast the whole hand. We'll just need to cast a Grim Bounty before our planar ally. So there's nothing we need to scry into. We have plenty of plays for a while. And I am pretty sure we're going to be rolling with a Grim Bounty next turn. Just kill whatever they play to keep attacking in. I suppose if they just play a removal spell of their own... Oof, Magic Missile's pretty brutal. The 2 for 1 there. But yeah, if they play a removal spell of their own, I suppose it's time to just play a Pegasus. Alternatively, we could play Cloister Gargoyle to make sure we get to play Planar Ally next turn. Get that Scry, hopefully get a land on top. But then we are attacking in next turn. Oh, no, we're only really attacking for 2 if we get a Pegasus out, which isn't that exciting. Let's just, let's get a land here. Minimus containment. We already have a Grim Bounty, and I really want to land, so I'm going to throw that on bottom here. But I guess it's arguable. Against a red-green deck that hasn't put any creatures on board up to turn 5, they're probably going to play a lot of big stuff we'll want to kill. So it's possible we're supposed to just keep that, save a bunch of removal. A 3-3 is not really a problem with a Cloister Gargoyle out here. We've drawn our second planar ally, which is pretty good, but we can't cast it. Do I want to just pop a Grim Bounty here? I really don't want to spend a Grim Bounty on just a 3-3 at this point in the game, because they're like 1 turn off from playing 7/6s. I think I just cast an Arborea Pegasus to start attacking with and pass the turn, because I can just block the 3-3 with a 0-4. So that's why I don't want to attack for 1 damage here. Another Inspiring Bard. Well, I guess it does get an attack in. It gets +2/+2 here. We're down to 14 now. I still want to draw the 5th land, so I'm not going to play Moonblessed Cleric and throw an enchantment on our deck. And I'm not going to Grim Bounty a 3-3 still, because we can block one with an 0-4. And they are, again, 1 mana away from 7/6s. Come on, play a 7/6. That would be a little sad if they play a 7/6 here and then we draw the 5th land. To where it's like, well, now we don't need the treasure anymore from the Grim Bounty. I expect the double attack here so they get 3 damage in. If they want to throw a pump spell at killing our Cloister Gargoyle, that's not that bad for us. We will be able to attack with it eventually, but it's going to be at least like 4 turns from now, even if we cast Planar Ally next turn. It's going to take a while. There's the 7/6. We did hit the 5th land for the Planar Ally, but kind of got to just Grim Bounty here. We can still maybe use that treasure token to our advantage. Possible I'm supposed to hold on to the plains for Hand of Vecna again. I think in that instance, probably not, because I want to be able to cast all these planar allies without having to wait for a second treasure token. So I'm almost definitely going to have to play a 5th land at some point in this game, because I have 2 5-drops in hand. But I figure we might as well play the land right now, because I am going to play a 5th land at some point for the second planar ally, if not the first one. So, I mean, at this point I have to worry about just dying to 3/3s. So do I just hold back all my blockers so I can double block a Bard and kill it? I get to play a Moonblessed Cleric. Moonblessed Cleric can trade into a Bard, as well as grab our Minimus Containment to deal with another one. They're going to Spoils of the Hunt to kill the Cloister Gargoyle, so that stops blocking. Ooh, Targnar. Targnar's kind of disgusting here. They're going to hit Pack Tactics, and the Bards are going to attack as 4/3s. They attack with 2 4/3s and a massive. This is going to get +1/+1 power. Or, I'm sorry, +1/+0. So it's going to be a 3/2, and they can spend 4 mana to double its power. It's going to be 6 power. We could go to 2 life and kill both the Bards if I double block a Bard and block the other one with a 3/2. I don't think we're playing Planar Ally now. We just need to get blockers on the ground. So let's play a Moonblessed Cleric. Let's draw the removal that we need to kill Targnar with. And Precipitous Drop will work, so we might as well grab that over the Minimus Containment, because that'll kill Targnar too. Yeah, it can't permanently get double toughness. And that'll also give us a little extra value by venturing a bit. So I believe that we just don't attack here. Try to get all the kills off on the Bards, and then we take 6 damage to Targnar, go to 2 life. 2 life is a scary amount to be at, but we'll have a lot of chump blockers, and they'll have no creatures left unless they cast another one this turn. So I think it's worth it. They could just kill us with a combat trick here. That would be a sad day. But they're 1 mana away from just killing us by activating Targnar's ability twice. Spoils of the Hunt, good lord. Alright, well, they're keeping a Bard. That's not good per se, but we can still kill Targnar and have 2 blockers to block the Bard with. Wait, no, we can't have 2 blockers, we can just have 1. Because I don't have enough mana to play Drop and Ally. 5, 6, we'll have 7 mana. Yeah, we need 8 mana to cast Ally and Drop. I'm 1 mana off from playing 2 blockers here. Would I rather get a treasure token off the Lost Mine so I can play a 3/3 to trade with the Bard? Or would I rather just get a 1/1 to chump block with it so maybe playing our ally doesn't have to trade with it? If I go for the 1/1 here, planar ally is just going to have to trade with Bard anyway unless I draw another card. And I've got a secondary planar ally. So I think I go land, I go Precipitous Drop for a treasure token so that I have 5 mana to play a planar ally, and I block Bard with our planar ally. And then hopefully that's all they have, and we get to play another planar ally afterwards. Fingers crossed, hopes and dreams. If they have a third Spoils of the Hunt, we're mega dead. Alright, 1 card in hand, see what it is here. Not another creature. Oh, good lord, it's an 8/7. It's an 8/7. Well, we have to chump block here, so we'll play the smaller chump blocker. The one that we lose less value off of, and they draw the 2 damage to face spell anyway. Ooh, that was a brutal loss. Excellent deck from our opponent, very well played as well. Some really absurd transactions there in their favor. They got the 2-for-1 off the Spoils of the Hunt on the double block with Inspiring Bard. They got the 2-for-1 off Magic Missile to kill 2 of our 3/1s in the early game. Always on the back foot there against the very powerful, aggressive Pack Tactics build from our opponent, so very well played. I will take that L, 6-3 here. All in all, a great draft overall, and we'll get plenty of rewards out of it regardless. 1,800 gems and 5 packs. So we'll see what we open up in these packs here. I still have not quite completed the full set, so we'll be getting like our 3rd and 4th copies of some stuff. Wild cards, always excellent. I think there's even some mythics that I don't even have 1 copy of yet. I have opened... I don't think I've ever drafted one of the legendary dragons that's mythic, unfortunately. I have definitely drafted adult gold dragons, and those are absolutely excellent. Bonkers cards. The only sad part about them is the only 3 toughness. So if you are playing against somebody who has dragon fires and -3/-3 spells, you will get got, but otherwise, absurd card. Just prompts removal or they're dead. Wow, these were some excellent packs if we were drafting. Imagine pack 1 getting a adult gold dragon, pack 2 getting ranger class, pack 3 getting paladin class. Maybe you end up in some kind of red-white deck with some treasure tokens to splash in a ranger class there, but paladin class and adult gold dragon in the same deck would be ridiculous. Both are absolutely absurd limited bombs. So those were some excellent reward packs, and that is going to end today's video. We've got some really great stuff on the horizon. As always, unfortunately, I will be making less videos this month, definitely much less consistent as I am on overnights, and that is relatively an exhausting experience for me, so I don't spend a ton of time doing much but sleeping. But there's some really cool stuff on the horizon that I'll be making as many videos as I can handle of. We've got draft challenges coming on the 7th, I believe, and then the brand new Historic Horizons Jumpstart set. I already love Jumpstart. I already love Historic Brawl, and Historic Horizons has a bunch of really fancy new fun cards for Historic Brawl and Historic and Jumpstart. Just all that cool stuff. So really cool events coming up. I'll be very excited to play some of those as they come out. But for now, as always, just thank you all for watching if you made it to the end of this video, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.